Nation, what's going on? We are back. I know it's been a while, but let's get to it. What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for joining me on Real Raiders Talk. I'm your host, Exacting Raider. Sean Johnson, shout out to man pulling up. Oh, salute, you made it. Let's get it. Yep, I made it. I know it was a little bit of postponed. It was an hour and a half later. Had to get set up. And yes, Sean Johnson said CJ Stroud like your life depended on it. Oh, yes. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about potentially are the Raiders going to move up in the draft on the third overall pick. We are going to discuss that. We're also going to talk about the Josh Jacobs rumors. I know we have been gone for, I believe it has been 11 days since our last live show. A lot of things have been going on in me and Nate's personal life. We're trying to plan a trip out to Vegas for the home opener, and we know the schedule has not dropped yet, but we're trying to plan something to see Raider Nation out there in full force for a home opener. So we're planning that. We got Thor in the building. Yee. Shout out to our guy Thor. So guys, if this is your first time and if you are a returning subscriber, please share the link around, share the love. Let's get as many people as we can up in here. Also, if this is your first time seeing Raiders Primos joining us on the Boricua Party, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and hit the bell so you can be notified when we go live, when we drop new content. We're going to try to be consistent with it. I know a lot of things have been going on with Raiders Primos. Guys, we have grown so much since really the past year. We're coming up on in August. It will be the 1 year of Raiders Primos, and we did not think our channel was going to be where it is at today. We're at 292 subscribers on the cusp of 300. Hopefully this live, we can get there. We're trying to get to 300 subs, and then, goals 400 and 500, and we're going to keep on growing, and it is going to be thanks to you guys, thanks to the Raider Nation for supporting us. But let's get into it, guys. Josh Jacobs, as we know, the Raiders have started their offseason programs, voluntary workouts yesterday. Josh Jacobs was not in attendance. Josh Jacobs, this is what has come from the athletic.com. Josh Jacobs has a signed franchise tag, and he is not reporting to the Raiders offseason workout program. The Las Vegas running back Josh Jacobs has not signed his franchise tag tender and will not be reporting to the Raiders offseason program, which began on Monday, which is yesterday. Josh Jacobs, who was 25 years old, will be due $10.1 million hit against the Raiders in 2023 if he signs the tender and doesn't land a long-term contract. The Raiders and Jacobs have until July 15th to reach a long-term deal. He earned his first team All-Pro nod and his second Pro Bowl selection in 2022 season after leading the league with 1,653 rushing yards, adding 12 total touchdowns. What does this mean for the Raiders? Well, the Raiders rewarded Josh Jacobs for leading the league in rushing with a $10.1 million franchise tag. The two sides have not started meaningful negotiations on a long-term deal since the tag was applied, according to the league source. That seems to be scheduled for after the NFL draft. This is what Josh McDaniels has told The Athletic. He said, "We feel strongly about him as a player and as a person, and hopefully for us, we can get something done long term. We didn't franchise tag him just to franchise tag him. We did it to give us an opportunity to have a longer time to work through this." At the Pro Bowl, Jacobs made the comment that it would be a case of a hero turned villain if he was to be franchise tagged. But sources say if he was half kidding and that he is looking forward to seeing how negotiations go and to how the Raiders roster is looking after the draft. The Raiders, coming off of a 6-11 season, haven't made a lot of big moves. other than Jimmy Garoppolo to replace Derek Carr. The backstory to this: the Raiders have previously declined to pick up Jacobs' fifth-year option. He then led the NFL with 393 touches and 2,503 scrimmage yards. He rushed for 4,740 yards with 40 touchdowns, along with 160 catches for 1,152 receiving yards in his 4-year career with the Raiders. General manager Dave Ziegler and Jacobs' representatives had previously had multiple conversations about an extension. Jacobs has also previously indicated that he will be okay playing on the franchise tag this year, but only if the Raiders built up the roster around him. The article ends there. So, guys, what are your guys' thoughts on this? What are your guys' thoughts about the Jacobs contract? And, it's coming at a standstill. I got my coffee. Hold up. Haven't had a coffee. Been tired of working. But yeah, guys, what do you guys think about this? We're going to get into the draft. Let me get some more of these shout outs up in here. Van City, my guy. It's been a while, man. Been a while. Aladdin, what's good? Where he going on, family? What's going on, family? What's going on with you, Aladdin? Yep, Raider Nation, boy. Raider Nation. Van City. So here's the plan, bro. Ready? We're going to trade pick number 7, our first round next year, and Hunter Renfrow for pick number 3 with the Cards and to draft CJ Stroud. Van City, I see that. I think that's the way it's going. I don't know if that's exactly how the trade may go, just based. Now, if we're coming draft day, I feel like that's more reasonable. Draft day, I can see us moving our first round pick next year, but at the same time, I can't see it only because Ziegler doesn't like trading away draft picks. And Hunter, I think what's more possibly realistic is trading Hunter Renfrow. You include Hunter Renfrow and you swap picks. You swap 3 to 7. I don't think I think Cardinals will take Hunter Renfrow, especially if they're trying to move on from DeAndre Hopkins. And from the Raiders standpoint, you do want to get to that third overall pick because you got to draft CJ Stroud if getting a franchise quarterback is on the top of your to-do list. Sean Johnson, the running back market is so screwed up. A lot of running backs not signing contracts, even Dalvin Cook on the verge of getting cut. So JJ's situation isn't personal. It's the market. It is complicated. I'm glad you brought that up, Sean Johnson, because I brought up the NFL running backs, the NFL running back salary, because we have to really look who screwed up the market. And we already know who screwed up the market. Apparently to over the cap, Ezekiel Elliott is the guy that screwed it up. He signed a $16 million contract with the Cowboys. The Cowboys, of course, as we know, cut him. The Titans are trying to move on from Derrick Henry, who also was getting paid $16 million. You got Nick Chubb, who's earning $14 million. Dalvin Cook, who, again, Sean Johnson brought up that Dalvin Cook and the Vikings, they're about to split ends, and he's only earning $14 million. You got Joe Mixon and Christian McCaffrey, who both are earning about $12 million. Mixon has $700,000 more. And then we go to Josh Jacobs, who is, like the franchise tag said, is going to earn $10.1 million in 2023. Jacobs, as we know, he probably wants to be either the top running back paid or he wants to be in the top 3. So I wanted to ask you guys, I want to ask Raider Nation this. You guys in the chat, are you guys paying Josh Jacobs $15 or $16 million between that range? Are you paying a running back who had one good season? I'm going to say that. I want to say one good season, one great season. I'll say that, one great season. Are you paying him $15, $16 million coming off of a great season? Me personally, I would rather him play on the franchise tag, or he's got to meet with us. You said you wanted us to build a team around you. We can build a team around you if the money is right for you and it is right for us. I would pay Jacobs $15 million. Here's why. You can, based off the way the contract is structured, you can then move and draft. You can then have money left over for the next season. It's not going to hurt you as bad. It depends how the contract is structured. That's my opinion on the Josh Jacobs rumors. I would like to have JJ back, but I will also say this. We have other running backs. Not saying they can replace Josh Jacobs, but we have other running backs. We We have Zamir White. We have Britton Brown. We have Sincere McCormick. And we also have friggin' that Andrew Walter dude that he had a pretty good preseason. And we got Amir Abdullah. We have running backs. Now, they're not Josh Jacobs. We seen it, guys. Josh Jacobs is a dog when he is in the zone. Last season, he played like a madman out there. But was one great season good enough for $15 million for the next 3-4 years? Let me ask you guys this. What are you guys paying Jacobs? What do you think? If you were Ziegler, what do you guys believe is Ziegler putting down when they did have the talks? I think also this. I think we have to wait and see for the dust to settle after the draft, because Jacobs said, I want you guys to build around me. I will play on the franchise tag as long as you guys build a team around me. You're not going to see a team built after the free agency period. It is after the draft. That's when you start kind of getting an idea. Okay, this is what we're working with. Now, Jacobs, you're likely going to be the bell cow again for next season. But here's the difference. You got I'm not going to turn this into a Jimmy Garoppolo versus Derek Carr show, but I will say this. He has a quarterback that can finally put up points when we need points in the red zone, and hell, maybe even a 60-yard bomb if we need it. Jimmy Garoppolo can put up the points. So yes, Jacobs, you will be the bell cow, but you're not going to have to do everything. And I believe Ziegler is letting Jacobs know that we don't want to pay you top running back money because you're not going to be doing everything. On top of that, we wouldn't want you to do everything. Where if the Raiders somehow have a playoff push going into next season, you want Jacobs to be healthy for the playoffs. You don't want to give him too many carries and bang up his body and then get injured. As we've seen, running backs, they will come and go. Ezekiel Elliott's been injured. Dalvin Cook has been injured. Christian McCaffrey's dealt with the injuries. Derrick Henry's dealt with injuries. Nick Chubb. Running backs are probably the likeliest position to deal with injuries. Jacobs has dealt with his injuries. He's dealt with it last year. He's dealt with it years prior. Who's to say you pay him $16 million and then he gets injured again, and now you got guaranteed money flowing to somebody that's on the bench? I think also, Sean, the Waller and the Renfrow contract hurts Jacobs also. What do I mean by that? Is because Ziegler paid Renfrow based off the season he did prior. He also paid Waller based off seasons he did prior. After they got paid, they both got injured. They both were earning their money while being on the bench. Jacobs has already dealt with his injuries. Who's to say that these contracts that Ziegler lined up with Waller and Renfrow are not playing a part into the Jacobs contract? Meaning Ziegler's kind of holding off because he's like, hey, I'm dealing with the running back. Yes, he is a beast on the field. We love what he brings to the Raiders, but he gets injured a lot. He plays while injured, but that could be his downfall also. I'll get into some more of these comments. Raider shot to Thor. No, we trade back, draft best offensive line available. Then with the extra pick, we go all defense. Not against that. I think we still need a right tackle and a left guard. If you're going to go with the best offensive line, you got Peter Skoronski. I think he will. It depends where you trade back to if you want to grab him. But I think I agree with this one. Or we pick up Gonzalez, and then second round offensive line and all defense. Thor, I feel that is where I want to go. I really like Christian Gonzalez's game, and I feel he can be our top corner for years to come. He could be our lockdown quarter for years, and you build around him in the secondary. Aladdin says, draft is here in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'll be here. Fuck the Chiefs. Love it, man. Love it. Shout out to Robert. With what money? How are we going to pay Hopkins? And Robert, I wouldn't want to get Hopkins. Okay, exactly what you said. With what money are we going to pay Hopkins? because I want to let you guys. I want to let you guys know this. This is why I don't want to get Hopkins. How many times are we going to invest on the offense? Offense don't do. I'm not. I want that. I'm hoping they do shit this season. I'm hoping we put up points like crazy. But we've been crying for a defense. So when is it going to be time when the Raiders can finally invest on this defense? Put money to this defense. We need help on the defense side of the ball. I want us to build this defense and build it the right way. Stop making trades for top wide receivers. Stop making trades for top running backs, tight end, whatever the case may be. Let's go build a defense that goes win championships, right? I'm here for it. Van City, if we could get Stroud without giving up our first next year, that would be crazy. Hey, Van City, I mean, we've seen crazier things in the NFL draft, right? We've seen crazier things in the NFL draft. We all have our mocks. I see Wasted down here. Shout out to our brother Wasted, who's been, he guided us from day one. Him and Grav, rest of Mount Shieldmore. Also, a lot of other people, SE Experience has also been helping us out. Shout out to everyone. Pharaoh, if you guys aren't following him, man, go follow him. Raider Ray, they've been helping us out. I want to give my salutes to them. But yes, this would be crazy, Van City. And all the mock drafts, including like Wasted and Graf and the rest of Mount Shieldmore, and even us, me and Nate here at Raiders Primos doing mock drafts, we think there's a certain way the draft is going to go, right? We think, Bryce Young's going to go number 1. Then Panthers, they traded up. We think CJ Stroud's going to go number 1. Bro, who's to, come draft day, if CJ Stroud does not pick number 1, it is going to be very interesting. I'll say that. If Stroud does not go number 1, it is going to get interesting because then Raiders going to be on the phone with Cardinals because then the Bears likely going to get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, whoever. I believe they're going to go defense. I believe if Stroud does not go number 1, Raiders are going to be on the phone with the Cardinals looking to grab that 3rd overall pick, trade up to grab Stroud. Now, Van City, if Stroud continues to fall for whatever reason, and I don't see it happening, that would be crazy. Because if he falls past 3 and falls past, I believe the Colts are at 5, if I'm not mistaken. If for whatever reason he falls to us at 7, man. Back to the Jacobs. Aladdin says, I'll give him 13. Robert says, I'll give him 15. Aladdin, I'm more with you. I would give him 13. Thor says, pay Josh 13, 14. If he won't take it, he can walk. That's where I'm at. 13, 14. I would offer him that if he doesn't want to take it. I mean, I can't pay a running back $60 million. And with the risk that he may be injured, I would rather him pay on the franchise tag. And if he balls out, then let's go. Let's back to negations. Thor says, Primos, if you up, we on tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific. Oh, hey guys, go check out Thor. Go check out the Raider Nation Drinking Club. 9 o'clock tonight. Bro, if I'm up there. Sean Johnson, worst case, you trade Josh Jacobs for a first round. I can see the Eagles giving us a first for JJ in a worst case scenario, but I want to keep him. But if it's too complicated, what else there's to do? And Sean, that you can only beat the dead horse so many times, right? You can only come back and tell, hey, Josh, like, we can offer you 14. We can maybe go to 15 million, but we can't pay you 16, 17 million dollars. We just can't. He wants to get paid like the hero, but he also wants the Raiders to build around him. Now, last time I checked, I believe the Raiders only have like $5 million left in their cap space. There's really nothing much you can pay him, right? But also, Sean, if you could help me out real quick, how do you think the contract would be set up if he was to sign like a $15-16 million deal? Let's say he signs 3 years, $60 million deal. How would you break that down if you were Ziegler? How would you try to break that down? Because you also you're having a lot of money going into next season, into the next offseason. But where is that cap hit going to hurt the Raiders? Because you also got the Chandler Jones contract, which is, I'm surprised they didn't restructure. You got Max Crosby's contract. They didn't restructure that either, I believe. They might have. If my brain's working. You got a lot of contracts on the Raiders team that you have to kind of move around. You got Chandler Jones. You can, Adams' contract is going to hit, I believe, in 2024. That's when it's really going to hit the Raiders. I couldn't go into next season and see if it's going to hit them hard too. I believe he's getting 28. Let me see. But then again, I wouldn't want to restructure Adams' contract because, bro, he deserves every single penny. He earned that money last season. So his cap hit next season is going to be $14 million. And then, okay, so 2024 is 25, 2025 is 44, 2026. So late into the contract, that's when his contract is really going to hurt us. So I really believe if we can work with Jacobs and kind of structure a contract just like that, where it's not going to hit until like 2-3 years from now, because then by then the cap is going to be high and you're going to be able to afford to pay Josh the type of money. But $16 million, I'm still not doing it. Still not doing it. Shout Vancy, I bet. Vancy, you like that, I bet, huh? You like that scenario. But let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about it. Sean Johnson, that's why post June 1st, you save $11 million with Hunter Renfrow. That money could be used on JJ. And that's if they can find a trade partner after post June, right, Sean? That's really if they can find a trade partner, because I think about it like this. They, post June 1st, that's after the draft, that's after free agency period. You got a lot of these teams that, they already found their pieces that they're looking for. Now, I will say this. Who would be calling? What teams will be calling? In you guys' opinions, what teams do you guys think will be interested in Hunter Renfrow? I think the Cardinals will be interested, but I think we have to monitor that, because we have to see if they move on from Hopkins, then I'm calling the Cardinals like, hey, you guys lost a receiver. We're willing to give you a receiver. Let's ask this question. Should the Raiders trade up to number 3 in the draft? Let's ask that question, guys. This is our headline right here. Shout out to Raider Nate. He said, I low-key want to, coffee, is that a coffee? I don't know if that's a coffee. I'm blind right now. Favorite flavor, bro, gotta be, bro, of course, the Nate coming in here. Always got to change it up. Right now, you got to go with the French vanilla, bro. French vanilla is always the way to go. But let's ask this question. Should the Raiders trade up to number 3 in the draft? It's ice cream. I couldn't tell, bro. I couldn't tell, Nate. What are you talking about? I couldn't tell, bro. Favorite flavor is chocolate, bro. We already know this. Should the Raiders trade up to number 3 in the draft? Yes. If CJ Stroud is there. If he's not, you stay your ass right at 7, and you see what is the board looking like when you come to 7. And if you don't like what the board is, let's see, Jalen Carter's out. CJ Stroud is out. You trade back, get more picks. You could go offensive line, but me personally, I wouldn't go offensive line. I would go Christian Gonzalez or Devon Witherspoon. You go get your cornerback of the future. You can go get Canty too, because Canty isn't going to fall into the second round. He is going to fall in he will go into the first. But I will ask you guys this: where do you guys see Canty going? I see him going maybe in the middle round, like middle of the first round. And if you could trade back maybe to like 12 or 13, you can get Kancey and get your future defensive tackle of the future. Either way, there's a lot of holes on this defense, and I would rather our first pick be a defensive player, whether that is linebacker, interior defense, or in the secondary. You got to go defense. You cannot be going on. I like offensive line because I get it. That is a need, but we got so many holes on this defense. Now, this is from CBS Sports. Teams that are most likely to trade up. The Las Vegas Raiders at the number 7 overall. This is what they have to say. In my first round mock draft, it's the Raiders I have moving up to number 3 overall. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't receive big time money to join Josh McDaniels in Vegas, and he is not exactly a spring chicken. Coach McDaniels likely doesn't have a long leash, so jumping up to secure the potential stud who could star in Sin City for years to come is something that could happen. It's probably not a possibility the entire fan base is in love with, but it's a possibility nonetheless. For potential trades the Raiders can make, we're going to see. First round trades Raiders can make, including a leap to number 3 to select franchise quarterback. So the trade up to number 3, the Raiders would get the number 3 overall pick, and the Cardinals will get the 20. They will swap picks, basically. The Cardinals will also then get a 2024 first round pick and the number 100 pick that we got in the Waller trade. Now, this is what they had to say about it. This is a big swing for the Las Vegas Raiders, and it will likely cost even more than 2 first rounders and a third to vault up to number 3 if the Cardinals put it up for auction. But this is the type of move to select a higher ceiling player. Florida's Anthony Richardson with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young off the board. The Raiders leap over the Colts, Seahawks, and Lions, all of whom could take Richardson at a developmental prospect to take their quarterback of the future. Because the Raiders have Garoppolo in-house, this is an ideal situation for Richardson to land in because he won't be required to start right out of the gate and can be allowed to ease his way into the NFL. Josh McDaniels has been able to develop quarterbacks like Garoppolo and Mac Jones in the past and did have some success with Cam Newton in terms of highlighting his mobility, which can be applied to Richardson. As for Arizona, it gains a tremendous asset. We don't care about Arizona. But this is also another trade that the Raiders can do. I want to see. Let me see these comments real quick. Sean Johnson, I think defensive tackle Canu Benton will be the pick and third round. He's more of a I think you want to say a Graham guy. Yeah, I remember you put me on Canu Benton. I still got to see some film on him, Sean. I don't know if you sent me some film work on him. If you can, send it to me again, just so I can after I go off the air, I can take a look at him. But this is another trade. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Instead of trading up, do the Raiders trade down to number 11? The Raiders will get the number 11th overall pick and a second overall pick and a 2024 fifth round pick. The Titans would get the 7th overall pick. Now, in this scenario, where a quarterback, Kentucky's Will Levis, is on the board when the Raiders are on the clock, but they opt to pass on the position at this juncture. Instead of simply taking another player at a position of a need, general manager Dave Ziegler puts a pick up for sale for teams interested in jumping up over the Atlanta Falcons, who could be in the quarterback market at number 8. This is where Tennessee decides to swoop in and offer a top-tier day 2 pick along with the number 11th overall pick and a future asset to climb up and take Levis at their heir apparent to Ryan Tannehill, who is entering the final year of his deal. For Las Vegas, it adds to its already impressive amount of draft picks. The Raiders currently have 12 entering the draft, while just inching out of the top 10. At number 11, there will be plenty of talent on the board, like edge rusher Lucas Van Ness, defensive lineman Miles Murphy, or corner Devin Witherspoon. Meanwhile, that second round would give them 2 picks inside the top 10 on day 2, which they could even use to possibly swing back up into the back end of the first round if a player they grade he is still on the board. How would you guys feel about that? Trading down to the number 11th overall pick, and the Raiders will get the 11th overall and a 2023 second, which will be the number 41, and a 2024 fifth round pick. What are you guys thinking about that? Son of River, shout out to you, bro, for joining up. He said, I wouldn't trade up. I'd rather trade down. That's where I'm at, son. Unless you're trading up for CJ Stroud, you trading back down. It's either CJ Stroud or it's nobody. You're not trading up to go grab Jalen Carter or grab, any of these defensive guys. You can wait for them to come to you. You can even trade down and get any of these corners coming out of the draft or any of the linebackers also and get more picks later in the rounds. Shout out to Son of River. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. Another trade offer. And I actually like this one better. Trade down to number 12. So you trade with the Texans. The Raiders will get a 2023 first, which will be the number 12 overall pick. They then get a second round pick, the number 33. And then they also get a 2024 fourth round. Meanwhile, the Texans will then get our number 7th overall pick. If you're yearning for chaos at the NFL draft, this is a scenario you'll enjoy. Here, the Houston Texans do not take a quarterback at number 2 overall. Instead, they opt for their top defensive player, which they would get Will Anderson. And then they basically swap with the Raiders to go get a quarterback. Now, while the Raiders keep collecting draft picks and only move down 5 spots where there's still plenty of talent available, Las Vegas opted against taking a quarterback here. The additional second rounder could put them in the range of Tennessee signal caller Hendon Hooker, who could be their development piece behind Jimmy Garoppolo. So what do you guys think about that? The Raiders trade down to 12. They don't take a quarterback. Likely they take a defensive player. And then you can use the number 33 overall to get Hendon Hooker. Do you guys like that scenario? Big Mike, our brother in the building. Salute to you. I know it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've been live. It's been a minute. But what do you guys think about that? Would you guys like that scenario more better? Trading down to number 12, we get the number 12 overall pick, the number 33 overall pick, and a 2024 fourth rounder. We use the number 12 on a defensive player, and we use the number 33 on Hendon Hooker if we're going to go quarterback. Do you guys like that scenario? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. And I'm going to continue. Let's look at some other mocks. Here's a mock draft from RaidersWire.usatoday.com. They have the Raiders. They have the Raiders trading up to the number 3 overall pick to land quarterback CJ Stroud. Says here, Las Vegas trades up to take the 3rd quarterback off the board. The Raiders signed Jimmy Garoppolo in free agency, but probably do not view him as a long-term answer. He's not. Jimmy Garoppolo is a bridge quarterback. We've been over this time and time again. He is not going to be the answer. He is a bridge quarterback so that the Raiders can go and find their quarterback of the future. A 2024 first-round pick goes back to Arizona as part of the trade. So, 2 first-round picks. The first one, you swap picks, and then they take our first round for next season. How you guys feel about that? Big Mike, were you talking about the trading down to 12? I like that too. I like trading down to 12. Like, yeah, you can trade down to 11, but man, if you could grab the number 33 overall pick, like to jump into the second round, into the top 10, or like early top 10, my goodness, man. I would applaud Ziegler if he pulls off that trade. Because I want to explain something here, guys. And Vancini, I'm about to. I'm going to say this. I'm going to put it up here. Cuz I want people to know, anyone who's tuning in, if you guys are sharing it, I want anyone tuning in know what we're talking about. I would say this. I would say, actually, let's put this. Let's put this. And I feel like this may be with any sport. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. This is my statement right here. And Big Mike. That's the only reason I'm moving up to 3. That's the only reason. Only reason I'm moving up to number 3 is if Stroud is there at number 3. Like Van City said, if I was talking to Van City, if Stroud doesn't go number 1, the Raiders are going to monitor that and they're going to be calling the Cardinals. And I guarantee while the Chicago Bears are on the clock, there's going to be talks between the Cardinals and the Raiders because Ziegler loves CJ Stroud. He said it. He loves CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud loves the Raiders. He wants to be a Raider. So why not go get a guy that wants to be with you, with your organization? Why not go get a guy that wants to play for you guys? But let's go back to this statement. And do you guys agree with this? I mean dynasties. Teams like the Patriots. Teams like I would even say let's bring basketball into it. The Golden State Warriors. The Boston Red Sox in the early 2000s. The Boston Celtics. The Miami Heat, even though they kind of bought their players. Great dynasties are built through the draft. The New England Patriots. The Steelers. Cowboys. This coffee is amazing. Shout out to my Raiderette. Oh yeah, Astros. Ed Buzz, thank you for reminding me. Astros. Great dynasties are built through the draft. Now, how does this relate to the Raiders? This relates to the Raiders because a lot of fans are freaking out that we didn't do nothing in the free agency period. We're about to go off script here. We talked about trading for the 3rd overall pick. We talked about Josh Jacobs. Now, let's get into some real Raiders talk, shall we? Let's get into some real Raiders talk. Great dynasties are built through the draft. So, Raider Nation, why are we freaking out that we didn't make splashes in the free agency? Ziegler doesn't want to build the Raiders through free agency. He doesn't want to go get big name free agents to come here and just earn money. He already did it with Chandler Jones, and he doesn't want to do it with anyone else. He knows that today's NFL, you need young bucks. You need some young guys. Whether it's defense or offense, you need young guys. Ziegler's thinking, I got 12 draft picks this season. 12 draft picks to turn this shit around. I think, Raider Nation, not even I think, I know Ziegler is just like us, Raider Nation. What do I mean by that? He knows this draft is a hit or miss for the Raiders organization. He has to hit on every single draft pick. Every single draft pick he has to hit because he knows how important this draft is. This draft is probably the most pivotal draft in Raiders history because this can set the Raiders up for success or it can set the Raiders up for failure. But I think it comes down to this. Shout out to my elders of Raider Nation in the room. You guys know Raiders have not been, in the best teams when it comes to drafting. I agree with you guys. I've seen it. I became a fan late, became a fan in 2011, but I've been there when we drafted like the Garyon Conleys. I know my dad has always told me, sorry guys, got allergies. Ugh. Sorry guys. My dad's told me when they picked up Jamarcus Russell, And he was ecstatic because he told me Jamarcus Russell, he killed it in college. He killed it in college. But came to the Raiders and he was a lazy bum. Salute to the numbers, bro. Been a minute. This is what we're talking about right here, the numbers. We're talking about the 2023 NFL draft and how Ziegler is going to build a dynasty through this draft. Or at least he has to. And that he knows he has to hit on this draft. But I want Raider Nation to know, because I see a lot of people freaking out, they don't trust the draft. They don't trust Ziegler on making the draft picks based off the history of others. I want to ask you guys this. Why do we hold Ziegler accountable for Reggie McKenzie's fuck-ups, for John Gruden's fuck-ups, for Mike Mayock's fuck-ups? Why are we holding Dave Ziegler accountable? He had one draft with like 5 or 6 draft picks. He didn't have a first-round pick. He didn't have a second-round pick. His first pick of the 2022 NFL draft came in the 3rd round. And that's what I'm saying, the numbers. I'm going to ask you guys this. Thank you, the numbers, for bringing this up. Can Ziegler draft 5 starters? I think he can. I think he can draft 5 starters. He can draft 5 starters, especially the draft capital that he has. Bro, if he doesn't draft 5 starters, that's a loss for the 2023 NFL draft. That's a loss. Sean Johnson, CJ Stroud, 85 touchdowns to 12 interceptions the past 2 years in college. That's 42 touchdowns to 6 interceptions per season. That's why I'm saying, if you trade up to number 3, the only reason you trade up to number 3 is to get CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is probably the most NFL-ready quarterback coming into this draft. And like I said, CJ Stroud wants to be a Raider. He wants to be a Raider. Isn't that a type of guy that you want in your locker room? A guy that wants to be there. He wants to play for the Raiders, or maybe he just wants to party it up in Las Vegas. I don't know. Hopefully it ain't the second option. Hopefully it is that he wants to play for the Raiders. Just tell CJ Stroud, do not go to Top Golf. I don't want to see CJ Stroud at Top Golf. I'm sorry about it. I shouldn't be talking about, but yeah, I don't want our rookies to get in trouble. Kane Town, my brother. Kane Town, what's up, man? What's going on? It's been a minute. I know it's been a minute since Raiders Primo's been live. I'm glad we still got the love from everyone. Like I said, we're going to try to stay consistent with this because, hey, the draft is coming up. I believe it's next week. Is it next week or is it in 2 weeks? I know it's like 10 days from now. Let me see. Yeah, it's 9 days from now. Yep, it's next week. Next week on 27th, I believe. Bro, Big Mike. Big Mike's a little heated. Trade up next year, defense this year. Hey, the numbers, I hear you. I hear you, brother. But you're going to give up way more next year. Way more next year. I hear you. We could build a defense, but if you're locked on CJ Stroud, you can jump from 7 to 3 and really not give up a lot. Because let's be realistic here, or I would say hypothetically. And from a fan base, we don't want the Raiders to draft in the top 10. We don't, right? So you don't want the Raiders, then they're coming, let's say they finish with the 18th or the 20th overall pick. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, we could go get Caleb Williams. We could get Drake May next year. Well, let's think about it. Drake May and Caleb Williams are likely going to go in the top 5. Outside of that, who the hell else is there? Maybe Bo Nix. But even then, it's probably going to go the same way as this year. Quarterbacks are going to probably fly off the board in the top 10. So Raiders are not in the top 10. They're going to have to then trade to get into the top 10, which is probably they're going to give up way more than what they would be giving up this year. Now, I know based off how we've seen in the scenario, they probably are going to give up a lot this year also. 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, maybe a second-round pick. But like I said, if it's for CJ Stroud, I'm here for it because the thing is, next season, you may be giving up way more than you would be giving up this year. And if CJ Stroud is there at number 3, I'm going to go back as where we started this off from Sean Johnson. If CJ Stroud is there, CJ Stroud, like your life depended on it, you go get your guy of the future. If you are serious about going to get a guy of the future, your franchise guy, you got to go get CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is, like I said, the most NFL-ready quarterback. This isn't just smoke and mirrors. This is real. Like, shout out to Sean Johnson for bringing up he brings evidence. He's not just making a narrative. He's bringing up statistical evidence to back up his the claim. I mean, my claim. He's helping me out. Shout out to Sean Johnson. My claim is that CJ Stroud is the most NFL-ready quarterback. You got a quarterback. Imagine, guys. We got a quarterback that's given us 42 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Imagine you get that next year. And then not only just from CJ Stroud and the rest of the passing game, but then top it off with Josh Jacobs running the football. Given like 10, 12 touchdowns. Bro, that's over 50 touchdowns the Raiders could score next season. I don't think I can't remember the last time the Raiders scored like 50 touchdowns in the season. Maybe back in 2015, maybe. Could be wrong. I don't even think we scored 50 in 2015. Shout out to K-Town. But yes, great dynasties are built through the draft. This draft is the most pivotal draft in the nation's history. It can either set us back or it can spring us forward. Let's see. And even NFL.com, this is from Chad Reuter, who had his mock draft. And in round 1, he has, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to see. So he has the Raiders picking Tyree Wilson at the number 7 overall pick. No trade at all. There is a projected trade from the Cardinals, but it is basically the Colts and the Cardinals flip-flopping. And I am assuming it is because they believe that the Colts are going to likely trade just so other teams can't trade with the Cardinals. That they are going to offer a trade, likely just a swap picks, so the Colts could get Anthony Richardson. CJ Stroud does go number 1. Bryce Young goes number 2. Colts get Anthony Richardson at number 3, which leaves the Raiders not in quarterback territory. Carter's off the board too, going to the Lions at 6. So the Raiders then get the best defensive player on the board in Tyree Wilson, who is the edge. And it says the Raiders will pass on Will Levis in favor of a powerful, long, and agile pass rusher. But as you'll see in round 2 of this exercise, the Las Vegas Raiders do make a trade in round number 2. The Raiders will trade with the Rams to go from 38 to 36 to snag Hendon Hooker. They are going to basically move up from Seattle. They're basically going to jump in front of Seattle, and they're going to get Hendon Hooker. Which to believe, I know a lot of people are like, well, why do you have to hop the Seattle Seahawks? Well, Geno Smith reportedly came out during the offseason and said, hey, the quarterback position is still in favor for the Seattle Seahawks to draft. And that Seattle can still draft a quarterback in the 2023 NFL draft, whether it's the first round or the second round. So, yes, you are going to want to overlap Seattle, and you go get Hendon Hooker, which I want to bring to my next question. How do you guys feel about Hendon Hooker going to the Raiders? We talked about CJ Stroud. We talked about the Will Levises. We talked not even about, I don't talk about Bryce Young because I don't think he's the likeliest quarterback to come to the Raiders. But what do you guys feel about Hendon Hooker? You know, he's another guy who's going to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo and likely learn the playbook. He's not going to go in day one and start. What do you guys think about it? Let me get into some of these comments. The number says need a linebacker, defensive tackle, and defensive backs, all defense. Oh no, the numbers. I agree with you, brother. We need so much help on the defensive side of the ball. So much help. I like going to get Christian Gonzalez or Devon Witherspoon. I feel like our secondary just gets cooked up so much. And I know it goes back to, well, we have no interior pass rush. Our pass rush is non-existent. We got to go defensive tackle. I'm like, bro, our defense is just hurting all over the board. Whoever we get, I'm cool with it. Sean Johnson says this could be the Alex Smith playing Jimmy G role and CJ Stroud the Patty Mahomes role, and then we see what happens next. Hey, Sean Johnson, don't get my hopes up, bro. Because if that's the case, we be set for the next like 15, 16 years. I would love if that's the scenario, man. I would love if that's the scenario. K-Town, I say stand pat, stay pat. Oh, I say stand at 7, pat at 7, and take Witherspoon. Then trade back into round 1. I wouldn't mind that. I think what if you do this, K-Town? Because what if you can pick up an extra second round pick and then you can trade back into the round 1 using that second round pick? Or are you okay with giving up our second round to move up into round 1? Because then you can get Drew Sanders late in first round. Because I believe Drew Sanders is gonna go late first round, but he's gonna go into the first round. Van City, I wonder why we haven't scored 50 plus touchdowns in the last. Van City, I know you're bringing your sarcasm, man. I know who you're trying to bring up, but nah, bro, we ain't bringing him up. But I would love to see 50 plus touchdowns, man. A lot of teams are making it look so easy, man. And Van City, of course, you love your hookers, man. Salute to Owls Ghost, man. Salute to the man, the myth, the legend, Owls Ghost. K-Town says, I think Sanders is going mid-round 2. Simpson will go first. I keep forgetting about Simpson, man. I think it's just we're so high on Drew Sanders that we forget that Simpson is actually the top-rated linebacker before him. I know there's another Dorian Williams. Dorian Williams is the linebacker of Tulane. Sean Johnson gave me some film on him. If you guys have not checked out Dorian Williams from Tulane, that's another guy that I'm high on that you can possibly get maybe in the 3rd round, late 2nd round. I think I would likely take him at the 3rd round. He's I like how fast he is when it comes to run support. And he's great. He is great in coverage. There was more highlights of him run stopping. I like run stopping, but I feel like, bro, we were always able to stop the run. That is the one thing I can give the Raiders defense credit for. They can stop the run. It is just, man, when you are getting lit up in the passing game, like, okay, that's when we need coverage linebackers. We need corners that can cover. But I say most importantly, we need cover linebackers. We need, linebackers that can cover Travis Kelce. I think that's another thing. We have to build this team through our division. You got Kansas City, you got Chargers, you got Broncos. These are 3 teams that are really pass heavy. You got the Broncos who are very pass heavy. You got the Chargers who are very pass heavy. And I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. It seems like every season they're pass heavy. You're going to have to set up a defense that can cover like their life depended on it. Shout out to Sean. I would love to draft linebacker Drew Sanders and linebacker Dorian Williams. Those are top 1 best versatile covers, 2 run stopper linebackers you can get if you're trying to get the best coverages and run. And Sean, this is why I like Dorian Williams. Of course, I like Drew Sanders too. I love Drew Sanders tape, but that's only if you're going to move into the 1st round. Because K-Town said he could go mid 2nd round. If he does, hey, take Drew Sanders. I take Drew Sanders. He fell down to the 2nd round in a lot of our mock drafts that me and Nate did, and Drew Sanders is Nate's top linebacker that he was looking at. And Nate really wants the Raiders to grab Drew Sanders. He said if they're drafting anybody on the defensive side, it's got to be Drew Sanders. That's Nate's pick. Nate's pick is Drew Sanders. That I like his game too, but I wouldn't be upset if we get Dorian Williams. I believe I got to see this mock draft again because I know who picked up. Let me see, because I think in the late first round. Hold on, guys. Sorry, burping over here. This coffee got me burping. See, in the first round, in that NFL has, I think in the late first round, I forgot about Nolan Smith too. Dang, the Bills got Collegiate Cansey, but in the late first round. Oh, never mind. Oh, there's a projected trade. Okay. Baltimore Ravens get Cam Smith. I'm trying to find. Sorry, guys. Give me a sec here. Because I believe the NFL had him go in the first round. Okay, never mind. They had him go in the second round, but he went late. He did go mid-round. At least in their mock draft, guys. In their mock draft, he did go in the mid-round, and he went to he went to Buffalo at pick number 59. So I would ask you guys this, actually. How would you guys want to do this? Would you guys want to pick a quarterback at number 7, and then with your second overall pick, you take Drew Sanders? Or will you miss on Drew Sanders? Would you miss on Drew Sanders, get a defensive guy in the first round, and get a quarterback like Hendon Hooker in the second? Which way are you guys going? And I would say this, even if we were to go quarterback in the first round, we have to remember, if we're talking about trading up to the third overall pick, we have to remember we're not going to have that second overall pick. So really, you're not going to get Drew Sanders. So let's say we'll get like a Will Levis at number 7, and we get Drew Sanders in the second round. What are you guys doing there? Shout out to he says Drew Sanders and Jack Campbell are exactly the same build at 6'5 feet. Their stats almost identical, but Drew Sanders 81% in coverage and Jack Campbell 42% in coverage. Good against the run, but bad coverage. I know, and I know I had a lot of hype on Jack Campbell, but that's all I seen out of his tape. You're right, Sean. Like, that's all I seen out of his tape was he was really good at stopping the run, good at coming off of blitz to get to the quarterback. But when it came to coverage, boy could not coverage for anything. He could not cover at all. Drew Sanders is exactly the type of linebacker we're looking for. All around, like you said, versatile. Great in the coverage, whether it's a zone coverage or man-to-man coverage. The 81% in coverage does not lie. The film speaks for itself. Drew Sanders is one of the top cover linebackers coming into the draft. And I just say, because of the division that the Raiders are in, you have to think about going to get a Drew Sanders or getting a Dorian Williams. Your linebackers got to be able to cover. We had fucking Max Crosby covering Travis Kelce. Like, no, bro, I don't want to see that shit again. I do not want to see that shit again of Max Crosby covering Travis Kelce. Like, that's how you know we ain't got linebackers that can cover. That is exactly how you know that. But how you guys feel about doing that? This is how you guys feel about going to get quarterback Will Levis and getting Drew Sanders. Damn, I didn't. Wow. Hey, I'm sorry, Sean. I might need to go Dorian Williams then. I'm not gonna lie. When you showed me Dorian Williams' tape, I was more high on Dorian than I was on Drew. Because in the second round you can go get a quarterback, and in the first round go get like a corner, like a Christian Gonzalez, and then in the third round you could get Dorian. Bro, imagine that defense so far. You got Dorian Williams in the linebacking position. You got Christian Gonzalez playing in the cornerback. Bro, that's if you could just get a pass rush, hopefully we do. Oh, bro, that would be scary. I would love that. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for pulling up. We're coming up on an hour. I'm gonna get out of here. My Celtics are, I believe they're playing right now. I think they just tipped off. They actually ended the first, tied 25-25. So yeah, shout out to everybody that pulled up. If you guys haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like, hit the bell on the way out. If you guys are returning, let's get up to 300 subs. Share the link around, share the love. Thank you guys for tuning in to Raiders Primos. Another edition of Real Raiders Talk. Let's get ready for the draft, guys. It is next week. We are going to go live for the first round of the NFL draft. We'll see you guys next week, or we'll see you guys in the next one because we will be going live before the draft comes. I'm going to have to hit up my brothers Cane Town and Big Mike, see if they want to pull on up. We can have like a watch party of the NFL draft. So, hey, spread the love around, spread the news. Let's get as many people so we can get all give our reaction to the Raiders' first pick of the 2023 NFL draft. So, shout out to everyone that pulled up. Shout out to Cane Town, Van City, Owls Goes, Sean Johnson. Shout out to Son of River. Shout out to Big Mike, the numbers. Everyone showing love. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. It's Raider Nation all day. We are all part of Raider Nation. Let's stay united. Let's stay safe out there. Love one another. Enjoy your Tuesday. And as always, Raiders!